This video is brought to you by RV 360 Solutions, where we're bringing the RV industry full circle by providing inspections, consulting, and training. Again, this is my Grand Design Reflection 303 RLS, and that is my Furrion Tankless water heater. I pulled this bottom drawer out just to kind of give you a better view of the back of this thing. So let's go over this tankless water heater real quick. Let's start with in the very back here. This right here is our pressure relief valve, and according to the maintenance instructions, what they want you to do is rotate that valve 3 or 4 times. It would be clockwise if you're facing the back of the water heater, and what that does is it releases water out through this tube. Now you're going to do that when the water's turned off. So again, 3 or 4 clicks, and what that does is it makes sure that the valve is free and working. So let me come around this side, and you can see we're coming out of this pressure relief valve. So this will be our hot water out. And we come down to, this is a one-way check valve that's only going to allow the water to come out of the water heater and not flow back into it. So this red line obviously is our hot water line. What I added to the system is a valve here, a T, and a valve here. So what that will allow me to do, normal operating condition, this valve will be open, and the same with this valve down here on the cold side. If I want to flush my water heater, what I'll do is close these 2 valves, and then I'll open these 2 valves. So what that's going to do is create a loop. So my cold water, get my camera in here, my cold water coming in here is going to go into my water heater, and with this valve closed down here, it doesn't allow that water to feed back into the RV. So then it's going to follow through my water heater, come out, and again, this valve being closed is going to direct the water up through this open valve, which is then going to go out to my connection on the outside. So on the other side of these 2 connectors are garden hose, 3/4 inch garden hose connectors, and out there I will connect a couple of short pieces of hose to a pump on my cold water side and just a open hose on my hot water side. So now I can flush this thing and get the water heater cleaned out without back feeding into my RV because these 2 are closed. Once that process is finished, then I simply close these 2 valves, open these 2 valves back up, and now my water heater is back to normal operating condition. We'll go outside and I'll connect my pump and we'll just verify that this is going to work. I'm going to go back, close these 2, and open these 2. And then I'm going to make sure that my water heater is turned off. Going to make sure that my water pump is turned off. And I will meet you outside. Yeah, we're back outside here. And you can see these are the 2 fixtures that I put in that are going to allow me to descale this thing from the outside and not have to crawl into that little cabinet and try and make connections and stuff. So the top one, you can see I just put some blue paint there. So this would be the cold water side, and this would be the hot water side. So we always want to make sure that we're pushing that water through this hot water heater the same way that it normally would go. So my inlet from my pump, which is inside of that bucket, is going to connect here, and then the outlet, which would be the hot water side, is going to connect here. So go ahead and pop these two caps off, and still a little bit of pressure in there. Could have bled that off. A little bit of water is not going to hurt anything in here. This is the flush kit that I put together. So basically, I've got this hose, which again is going to go, this will just be the drain that's going to go back into my bucket. And then this hose, so you can see I have a little submersible pump in there. This is connected to that pump. So that's going to go up here, and then to the blue side, which would be my water inlet side. Alright, so I've got my hoses connected. And I've got an extension cord I'll just plug into, but basically I got 4 gallons of distilled white vinegar. So this says it's 5%. I just picked up the cheapest stuff I could find at Smart and Final. Nothing special about it. I'm gonna go ahead and dump, I probably won't be able to get all 4 gallons in that bucket, but I'm gonna go ahead and dump the vinegar in there, and then we'll come back. I was able to get all 4 gallons of vinegar in the bucket. So you can see my submersible pump in there. We're all connected. Again, the pressure side from the pump going into the cold water side, and then coming out this hose right here. We'll just hopefully be able to keep that in the bucket. Is going to be my return line. So really important to make sure that the water heater's turned off. And again, we covered this earlier, but I have the valves set that I installed on the inside so that my water is going to come in this line. It's just going to go through the water heater, come back out here, and it's not going to force its way into the RV. So I'm going to go ahead and plug my pump in. So again, we're forcing the vinegar in this line, coming out this line, and that's what it looks like coming out. So this water heater is a little over 2 years old, never been flushed. So I don't expect to get a lot, but I can already see in that water there are some, looks like white crystally looking things. We have really hard water here, so yeah, I'm suspecting there's some calcium buildup in here. So this is going to run for an hour, because so they make a couple of powdered versions of stuff that you can flush these water heaters. You can do this in, you know, as little as a half hour, but with the vinegar, you want to let this run for about an hour, and then after that's finished, we're gonna put some just clean water in my bucket, and then we're gonna flush it for another probably half hour. So while this is flushing, looks like everything's working out here. I'm gonna go back inside, and I just want to check to make sure I don't have any leaks on the inside. And then yeah, after an hour, we'll come back and meet again. Okay, so we're back inside. So right now, I've got the pump connected out there, and we are flushing some 6 or 5% vinegar through. So we're coming in the blue line, and it's going through this valve. So you can see we've got this valve closed, so none of the vinegar is going to be able to get into the RV. And so it's all going to come in, go into the water heater, come out of that water heater through the hot water side. Again, that valve is closed, so none of that's going to go into the RV, through this valve, and then back out and into my bucket. So at this point, there's nothing leaking in here, which is a good thing. And it's not like that's under a lot of pressure. So one of the things I am going to do while this is flushing, so I want to get some vinegar to go through my pressure relief valve, and so it's going to come down through this clear hose right here, and it's going to drain out into that little tray in the water heater. So what I'm going to do is just, and you can kind of see the bubbles, just rotate this a couple of times. I don't necessarily want to get a lot of vinegar on the outside. I'm going to go wipe that off right now. But what that did is it just allowed some of that vinegar to go through this pressure relief valve, and yeah, again, out through this tube. And I'll show you on the outside. I'll take a walk out there again. Okay, so back outside again, and yeah, I opened up that pressure relief valve to get some of that vinegar to flow through this tube, and you can see it definitely made a little bit of a mess out here, but nothing terrible. So I'm gonna clean up the side of my RV. This thing is due for a bath anyway, so we'll just get some of this vinegar because it is acidic. We'll get some of this off, and then yeah, I'll just take some soap and water. I'm gonna wipe all this down in here anyway and spray some WD-40 on here to try and get rid of some of this rust. But we definitely got vinegar to come out through this tube. I had already pulled this filter out and cleaned it, and I pulled this drain plug out. So once I'm finished with the flush, I'm going to pull these two out again and just make sure that all the vinegar is out of there. Okay, so it's been about an hour, and I'm going to go ahead and shut this pump down. The vinegar coming out of there now is really pretty clear. There's just no sign of any kind of scale coming out of it. So I'll leave my hoses and everything connected just the way they are. Pull my pump out of here. And yeah, I don't know if it picks it up on the camera, but that water definitely has some crap in the bottom. So I'm gonna go dump this out, fill this up with clean fresh water, and I'll be back. Okay, so got some fresh water in my bucket, and before I actually flush the fresh water out of this, I'm gonna pull this filter out again. They really did not make this very convenient, but and so we're gonna get some of that vinegar is gonna drain out of here. Not a lot. And I'm also gonna pull this low point drain out. So remember this drain, and you can see my O-ring is still on there. So one thing you want to be careful is not to lose that O-ring. So remember this drain is going to drain the water out of that vortex mixing chamber. So now I'm going to go ahead and throw my pump back in, and I'm going to just turn this on for a second just to make sure that I get some fresh water out of both of these. Okay, got both that filter screen and that low point drain plug back in, and now we're just running our fresh water through here. So I'm going to let this run for about a half hour now and clean out all of the vinegar that's in there. So again, the one thing that I'm going to do, so since I opened up that pressure relief valve and let some vinegar through it, I want to make sure I flush this line out. So I'm going to go back inside and open up that pressure relief valve a couple of times, just let some fresh water through there. So again, we're going to get a lot of water out here, and unfortunately the way this tube is angled, it's actually going to splash right against here, but I'll probably put something over that. So let me go in, pop that pressure relief valve a couple times, get some fresh water through there, and yeah, I'll be back. Okay, so we're back inside, and again, all my valves and everything are still set up the same way that they were. So we're flushing fresh water through this hot water heater. But I want to open up my pressure relief valve just a couple of times and get some clean water through here. All right. So now we should have most of that. Should have most of the vinegar out of this line. I might do this a couple more times just to make sure. In fact, I'm going to hold it open. Okay. Okay, so it's been just about 30 minutes running fresh water through this system to flush out all of that white vinegar. So I'm just about to lose daylight here, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect my pump. And again, I have these caps that I can put on here. Just to make sure if one of those valves were to leak or get bumped or something, that we don't end up flooding this water heater. All right, so there you have it. It is a pretty simple process to descale this water heater with the modifications that I made. So we can just button it back up. And there you have it. Descaled Furrion Tankless water heater. Okay, so back inside for the last time. So I have everything buttoned up outside. So now all I have to do is close these two valves that go out to my flush system and open these two valves. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on my water pump. Just verify that we don't have any leaks. And turn on some hot water. Make sure we get all the air bled out of the system. Okay, so I did actually turn on the switch outside for my water heater, so you can see I've got power to my control panel. So we'll turn that guy on. And you can see my water heater just finally lit. Still got some air in the system, but there we have it. Hot water.